G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Kaitlyn and I'm an American living in beautiful Sydney, Australia. And as an American, I grew up hearing about how tough America's military was, how it's the strongest military in the world, how we have the largest military in the world, and there's just so much pride about America's military. So I know very little about Australia's military other than the fact that it's like just the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. You don't have the Marines, you don't have the Coast Guard, you don't have the Space Force. I still can't believe that's a thing, but yes, the Space Force is a thing over in the States. So this video pops up on my homepage, Defense Study, How Powerful is the Royal Australian Navy, RAN in English. So this is probably going to be a bit of an informative video. I don't know how much I'm actually going to know. I know very little about military stuff. I didn't come from a military family. My husband did. His grandfather was in the Army here in Australia, but I mean, technically my grandfather was in the Army in the States as well, but he passed away when I was a year old, so I don't really know anything about the military. So let's grab a Becky, grab a cuppa, and see just how powerful the Royal Australian Navy is.
Today, we will talk about how powerful is the Royal Australian Navy. Australia is an island country, surrounded by the Indian and Pacific Oceans. It has a massive 25,000 kilometers of coastline, and claims approximately 8,150,000 square kilometers of exclusive economic zone. According to the Global Firepower Index 2022, RAN has 43 ships, and in terms of the naval fleet, it ranked 50 out of 142 countries.
So for a country whose biggest branch is the Navy, it only ranked 50th out of 142. I was expecting it to be like mid-20s, to be honest. That's a lot smaller than I thought the Australian Navy was.
Total battle fleet tonnage, Australia will rank between 10 to 15, with approximately 185,000 tons. The RAN consists of 43 commissioned vessels and over 19,000 personnel, including 3,000 reserve personnel. Navy is one of the largest.
So that kind of helps explain the push in the Defense Force. There's, including reserves, only 19,000 people in the Navy. That's small. That's not a lot of people. Again, I thought the number would have been double that, to be honest. I know that the Navy is the biggest branch. I figured that there would have been a lot more people in the Navy than that, so a little bit shocking. But then at the same time, what incentives do a lot of people have to go into the Navy and then stay in the Navy? And then when they leave, what support is there when they leave? There's a lot of factors that go into why the Defense Force seems to be shrinking.
And most sophisticated naval forces in the South Pacific region, with a significant presence in the Indian Ocean, and worldwide operations in support of military campaigns and peacekeeping missions. As of 2022, Royal Australian Navy operates 2 helicopter carriers, 3 destroyers, 8 frigates, 6 submarines, 2 replenishment oiler, 1 landing ship dock, 12 patrol vessels for mine hunters, and 2 survey ships. In addition, RAN also operates 6 MH-60 air helicopters for anti-submarine warfare, and 6 MRH-90 for transport and resupply. To keep eye on such a massive coastline, ships and submarines are not enough. Long-range radar or over-the-horizon radar, maritime patrol aircraft, long-endurance unmanned aerial vehicles, and satellites are also critical assets for real-time information gathering. Australian Navy may not operate all this equipment, but it doesn't mean that Australia lags behind all this capability. Australian Air Force operates 12 Boeing P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol and anti-submarine warfare aircraft, with 2 more on order. RAAF will also operate 6 MQ-4C Triton unmanned.
Do these not remind you guys of the little styrofoam airplanes that you put together as a kid and you'd throw it and see how far it can go? I'll post a picture of what I'm thinking of, but that's what these look like to me. I'm not picking on them, I swear. That I know it's important to the military, but that's what it reminds me of.
Aerial vehicles. MQ-4C Triton is specially designed for naval operation, and it will also complement the Poseidon fleet. As of 2022, MQ-4C Triton is the most expensive and best maritime surveillance platform. Compared with its neighbors, RAN is a well-equipped navy. But when you look at an adversary like China and you are not a NATO country, a strong navy is indeed. Now let's talk about some major projects that are currently underway to upgrade RAN capabilities.
So, isn't there a alliance going on, the AUKUS alliance between Australia, the US, and the UK right now for submarines to be commissioned for Australia? Like, isn't America making submarines for Australia through this contract? I thought I saw something like that in the news recently. I didn't pay too much attention to it. I remember they had a contract with France, it fell through, there was a big problem with that, and then the US picked up that contract. I don't know how many submarines are supposed to be commissioned or what it's going to cost taxpayers, I don't know, but I think I remember seeing something like that in the news recently.
Under Project C-1180 Phase 1, Armidale-class patrol boats will be replaced by 12 Arafura-class offshore patrol vessels. Construction started in November 2018, with the first vessel, HMAS Arafura, to enter service in 2022. The Hobart class is an air warfare destroyer, based on the Spanish Navantia F-100 frigate. But it incorporates an Aegis combat system with an ANSPY-1D phased array radar. Combining these with SM-2 missiles provides an advanced air defense system, capable of engaging enemy aircraft and missiles at a distance of 150 kilometers. In future, the Hobart-class upgrade will feature an advanced Aegis combat system, with a 240 kilometers SM-6 surface-to-air missile, and the replacement of the Harpoon anti-ship missile. From 2024, the government plans to invest up to $5.1 billion in upgrades to Hobart-class destroyer combat management systems.
In case you wanted to know where your tax dollars were going, guys, it sounds like a good chunk's going to the Navy in the next couple of years.
Anzac-class frigates were commissioned from 1996 to 2006 and were built in Australia. Designated as anti-submarine and anti-aircraft frigates, and capable of both mid-level patrol and blue water operations. In future, 3,600 tons Anzac-class frigate will be replaced by 8,800 tons Hunter-class frigate. A total of 9 ships are planned, at an estimated cost of 35 billion Australian dollars, and it will start replacing the Anzac class from 2031 onwards. We all know that the Australian Navy operates a single class of diesel-electric submarines, the 6 Collins-class boats, which began entering service in 1993. The submarines are classified by the RAN as guided missile submarines, but are often referred to as hunter-killer submarines in the international press. All 6 collision-class will go under midlife upgrade, and eventually will be replaced by 8 nuclear-powered attack submarines. In my opinion, the Australian Navy should also operate at least one carrier battle group, array of strategic advantages, and provides enormous operational flexibility, including surveillance, air defense, anti-submarine warfare, and maritime strike. A carrier battle group is immensely mobile. It can relocate up to 1,000 kilometers in 24 hours, and can sanitize more than 500 kilometers around it. Like INS Vikrant, a 40 to 45,000 tons conventional powered aircraft carrier would be great for RAN. If the requirement is for a bigger aircraft, then 65,000 tons Queen Elizabeth class aircraft carrier is also a good option. It is not like the Australian Navy never operate an aircraft carrier, if you remember HMAS Melbourne. She was a Majestic class light aircraft carrier, operated from 1955 until 1982. And was the third and final aircraft carrier to serve in the RAN. You have to understand, to design and build an aircraft carrier from scratch might take 1 or 2 decades, so you must plan accordingly. To induct and maintain an aircraft carrier is costly, but, for a country like Australia, surrounded by ocean, $1.7 trillion GDP, $44 billion defense budget, instead of LHD, an aircraft carrier makes more sense. That's it for today. See you in the next video.
Okay, so definitely learned a few things in that video that I didn't know before. It definitely made the Navy seem a lot smaller than I thought it was, to be honest. Like, I thought that it had more ships. I thought it had an aircraft carrier. That's kind of surprising that there isn't at least one aircraft carrier in the whole fleet. Like I said, it takes time to build it, it takes time to plan it, and it does cost a lot of money to actually get it done. You have to find somebody who's actually going to build it, and of course you need the actual personnel to staff it, and apparently the Defense Force is having trouble with that. So yeah, overall it doesn't seem to be looking very good for the Defense Force right now, particularly the Navy. But yeah, I definitely learned a few things in this video. I didn't realize the Navy was that small, didn't realize that it had so few ships, so few aircraft, and so few personnel. Coming from a country with one of the largest and most powerful militaries in the world, it's almost a little bit concerning, but also a little bit of a relief to know that America and Australia are also allies, so that does help a little. Anyway, that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. I really appreciate the support, you guys. It does help out this channel. Believe me, it does if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. And I will see you all in my next video.